Hi everyone, it's Terry here from nutsaboutsstamping.com. In today's video, I'm going to make a beautiful thank you card with the help of my Verdant Garden stamp set and a set of new framelits that I just received this week. My card base is going to be pear pizzazz. I've cut it 8.5 by 5.5 and I've scored it on the 4 1/4 mark. And I'm going to start right off by stamping directly onto the card base using this stamp from the Verdant Garden stamp set. Normally, when I'm trying to create a background, I would probably use Versamark, but in this case, I'm going to use the coordinating ink pad, the Pear Pizzazz, because I actually want it to be tone on tone. I want the leaf image to show up onto the card base. I really want it to be dark and noticeable, because what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take one of my brand new rectangle stitched framelits dies. I've already chosen one of the rectangles from this pack, and I am going to actually cut a window in the front of my card. So I'm going to bring in my die cutting machine, and I have a magnetic platform, and then I have the cutting pad, and I'm going to open up the card because obviously I don't want to cut through the whole card itself. I just want to cut through the card front. I'm going to lay this on to the best of my ability. Hopefully it's nice and straight. And then I'll put the top standard cutting pad on. And then I'm going to hold it in place and run it through and die cut a rectangle out of the front of my card. So it's going to be like a window. Let's see how it looks. Oh, very nice. Very nice indeed. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I have pre-cut a strip of the Verdant Garden Designer Series paper. I believe that's what it's called. No, it's not. It's called the Garden Lane Designer Series paper. Sorry about that. And I'm going to adhere it so that it peeks through the window. So in order to do that, I'm going to turn this paper over, and hopefully I cut it wide enough so that I can just add some snail on the inside of my card and then lay the paper down on top of it, and that should work. The other thing I could have used, just occurred to me, is I could have used my tear and tape adhesive. But I think this will work okay. I do have a little bit of adhesive left over here. Let me show you a trick. I went and got my Powder Pal, I think that's what it's called, and it's got like a chalk inside of it. So what I can do is I can just rub some chalk over any adhesive that might be showing or wasn't attached to this paper. And what it's done now is it's completely taken the stick away so that when I close it, it won't stick shut. Anyway, so here is the paper peeking through the inside. So it's looking great so far. Now what I need is, since I want this to be a thank you card, I am going to bring in a scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I've got the thank you phrase from the Love What You Do stamp set, and I'm going to ink it up and stamp it down with my garden green ink. I'm not very organized today. All right. So let's see, I think I'm going to do it on an angle because I'm going to bring in my tailored tag punch. Let me just trim a bit off the bottom. so that it slides more deeply into my punch. There we go. So I've got my thank you phrase. And now I want to attach my thank you to the front of my card. And I think what I'll do is get some Stampin' Dimensionals. And I'll put a Stampin' Dimensional on either side of this tag. And I'm going to attach it like so. And then, before the video began, I stamped and colored 2 little flowers from the Verdant Garden stamp set. Let me show you. Here's the flower right here. So I stamped it with Memento Tuxedo Black ink, and then I took my Pear Pizzazz and my Petal Pink Stampin' Write markers, and I colored them. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach these flowers to the front of my card. I'm just not sure. Yeah, I think maybe that would be nice. Maybe I'll put one here and maybe one down there like that. All right, so let me get my mini Stampin' Dimensionals and we'll finish off this card. So I'm going to add a mini dimensional to the back of each of these flowers, and I'm going to attach them to my tag, and that should finish off my window card. I really quite like that. For a complete listing of the supplies that I used and the measurements for all of the card layers, please head to my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. And while you're on my blog, make sure you're a newsletter subscriber. I send a free newsletter each week with a project idea you won't see anywhere else. And also on my blog is a Shop Now button. If you click on that, you'll link over to my online store in case you want to purchase the products I used to make this card. Now, if you want to see where I got my card idea from, look in the annual catalog on page 41 where it introduces the Garden Lane suite. And I think you'll see a card that looks pretty close in design, or at least in layout, to this one, but I added my own special twist. So keep in mind that our annual catalogs are not only catalogs, but they're also idea books, and you're welcome to use the ideas you see in there the next time you craft. I'm Terry. I am Nuts About Stamping. I hope you create something beautiful today too. Bye for now.